Hi, good afternoon. My name is Chief Sampra, owner of Aunty Lucy's Burgers, and thank you for your time. I'm excited to let you know about my company and speak to you more about potentially collaborating with one of you. Aunty Lucy's Burgers is a Ghanaian-influenced smash burger shop that I founded 2 years ago. The inspiration came from my love for smash burgers and food and hospitality industry in general, and wanting to see a bit of representation in that space and really kind of bring my various backgrounds together, be it my Ghanaian heritage, my love for culture, food, music, fashion, and really just creating a place that my friends and people like me can kind of come hang out and enjoy great burgers. During this time, 2 years ago, the pandemic was beginning to really affect restaurants, and restaurants were closing. And it was a lot harder to, or the ways people were acquiring food were beginning to change with curbside pickup, Uber Eats delivery, and just delivery in general really rising. So I came to learn about ghost kitchens during this time and realized that with proper marketing and branding, the barriers to entry was a lot lower than normally for a restaurant during this time, because a lot of it was delivery based and based off of apps. So decided to try my hand at it. Initially, we started as a 3-day pop-up. That did really well. Then we expanded to a 1-month pop-up, and then we eventually found a more permanent location, which we were at for 2 years, which was a boutique hotel called the Annex Hotel. We have a very small menu, about 8 to 10 items. Our burgers are named after cities in Ghana. So our most popular would be the Kumasi, which is a single patty beef burger, which is a smaller city in Ghana. Then our double patty, which is the Accra, which is the capital of Ghana. And then we have a very popular chicken sandwich called the Nima sandwich, which is another area of Ghana. We did a collaboration with Beyond Meat actually for a burger called the Labadi burger, which is a beach in Ghana. And then that one, like I said, we collaborated with Beyond Meat. We wrapped a food truck and had it out during a very popular holiday weekend here, and we gave out about 1,500 burgers, and it was a long line. It was a great activation for us. And what's also sets Aunty Lucy's apart as well in our menu offering is the collaboration between popular Ghanaian street foods, such as jollof rice, kelewele, which is fried plantain with spices, and a very popular Ghanaian hot sauce, which is called shito. So we provide that is very unique to the burger shop arena. Our company valuation. Currently, Aunty Lucy's would be valued at $1 million Canadian. Our year to date and our last year's sales were around 1.1, $1.2 million Canadian. But then our brand recognition, brand awareness kind of reaches beyond that. So that's kind of how I landed at that valuation. Comparable businesses to ours would be Burger Priest, which was recently acquired by Recipe Hospitality Group. And we are looking to sell 10% equity in the business. And again, we're also looking to potentially sell more if we're able to work with a hospitality group that has experience in that space, and really someone that can help take the brand to the next level with their expertise. And with this valuation as well, this potential sale of the 10%, that would go kind of towards some of our growth goals, which would be increasing our market share, expanding locations in new cities, helping create new locations in the GTA, and also expanding our awareness via more marketing initiatives. Our value proposition. The value in the marketplace that Aunty Lucy's solves is really helping people find a smash burger that is accommodating to them. Generally in the smash burger space, there is a bit of elitism, whereas we like to incorporate various food options for people who feel like they're being underrepresented. So our beef and our chicken is certified halal. We have dietary options such as gluten-free buns, veggie options as well with the Beyond Meats. And we kind of just have a unique mixture of West African food options, like I mentioned earlier, be it the jollof rice, the fried plantain, but with food that's very easily digestible and welcoming to others who might not be yet familiar with the West African food. So this collaboration is very unique and very new, and one that hasn't been done before. And currently our customers are solving that problem by going to two separate locales. They are going to burger places for high quality smash burgers, and they're also going to whether it's West African food locales outside of the city or Caribbean food locations in the city for like things like plantain and like jerk chicken and stuff like that. But there is no place that is kind of in a new age millennial way merging both in a family oriented, very welcoming environment. So we are looking to be the first to do that. So currently our capital ask is $100,000 for 10% of our company. And we are open to selling a larger percent if the parties who are interested have a background in hospitality and a proven track record of cultivating and growing QSR, quick service restaurants. Because my goal for this company is I want it to be a pillar in the hospitality space here in Canada, here in Toronto, and ideally in North America. So other Black youth and youth of color can kind of see that, like, this guy did this with a low investment initially during a time of chaos, and has now kind of grown it to be, another quick service restaurant that exists amongst the big dogs in the industry. And it's a place where people can be inspired, people can go enjoy the food, people from all walks of life can come enjoy the food and just really enjoy it for what it is, but just know that someone like them had an idea and was able to see it exist. So in saying all that, I am open to selling more ownership to help propel this dream and this idea. And some of the capital will go towards our growth, which would be increasing our market share, helping us expand in new cities, helping us expand into new locations in Toronto, helping raise our awareness via various marketing initiatives, and really just kind of, and also helping with design, which is part of the build outs, but really just helping further increase our legitimacy and just instantly be a proven player in the QSR business. So some milestones for us would be, or future milestones for us would be launching our own standalone location. Currently, we were located in the Annex Hotel, which is a boutique hotel, a bit off of a main street. So we want to be on a main street, our own location, there just welcoming our community and people who just want to come enjoy good music, great environment, good food, and good drinks. And then moving forward, we want to expand to at least 3 locations in the GTA, and then hopefully in other cities in Canada, but also in the US, where we feel we would have even more, interest due to our story, other people who kind of want to see other food options in their cities. And and some other milestones for us would be landing an episode on a very popular Food Network show, My Big Food Bucket List, hosted by John Catucci, who is considered, a Canadian version of Guy Fieri, but he's also very well known across North America for his previous show, You Gotta Try This. So it was an honor to be selected by him and his team to be featured. And again, to further, shine light on our smash burgers and our food, but also the Ghanaian heritage, which really kind of goes hand in hand with the company. So as much as we are in the business of selling burgers and selling food, it's really kind of just like shedding light, educating, and painting a picture, and letting the world know about Ghana, what's happening, generally West African heritage and culture, but in a way that's just like easy for people to learn and kind of be aware of. Coming to speak on the market size, there are about 6 million people located in downtown, in the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, and some other burger concepts that are doing this, that are selling really well, would be Burger Priest. So we kind of want to follow their trajectory and aim to try to hit $1.5 to $2 million in sales Canadian per year. This in the hospitality space would be considered exceptional. And the idea as well is to have expertise and guidance from partners who have a proven track record in growing and leading QSR businesses. So that way our efficiencies and our profit margins can increase, and we can continue to find ourselves successful. And what also makes us unique as a business would be outside of the menu and outside of the culture, it is just the general brand awareness. Thus far, being a brand that's only been around for 2 years and kind of being listed on all these various media outlets and kind of being considered one of the top burgers in Toronto, we been able to do a pop-up in Paris recently during Fête de la Musique, which is June 21st. Every year in Paris, on June 21st, they have a day of music celebration. So there's various events and things happening in the streets. And last June, we collaborated with a chicken shop in the outside of the Pig Alley area called Cot, where they were selling some of our menu items. We did a collaborative sandwich. We also collaborated with a bar across the street and had a DJ lineup all day. And this was proven to be very successful for us, and also proved to be very successful for our brand awareness online, and is leading to other future collaborations. But this is something that most brands don't have, I guess, the reach and the social currency to be able to go to other cities and kind of like create a buzz like that. So that's something that is unique to us, but other brands that are in I guess the culture that we're in. But a lot of food brands kind of don't have that. They're kind of very held to their brick and mortar location. So that is something that we also want to continue to build upon. But outside of that, I'm very grateful for your time and speaking to everyone here, and very much looking forward to hopefully expanding Aunty Lucy's Burgers with the help of this great team, and looking forward to hearing some of your questions.
Well, our mouths are watering, and I'm so sorry that we're not able to try these today. Welcome, Chief, to the Shark Tank. Excellent job. Would love to hear from our judges. Let's hear from our judges on clarifying questions. Tasha, you represent one of the largest financial institutions in the world. What questions do you have?
I think it's better now. Hello, and wonderful presentation. It looks like you've really done your research, and your burgers sound delicious. It actually reminds me of Shake Shack in the US. Are you familiar with that particular burger place?
Yeah, definitely. They're a brand that I also looked up to during my research, and like the owner story and everything. And it's a really inspiring story. But yeah, they're exactly kind of the lane we want to take.
Okay, that's wonderful, because they are delicious. And so I wanted to find out more about your marketing. What are you doing to advance your marketing? What tools are you using? Who are you working with? Are you on social media? Like, how are you really getting the word out about your product, and how you are differentiating yourself from other similar, the two you mentioned that are in Canada? And then also, if you're looking to come to the US, you do have a couple places. I can think of a few that are very similar in concept. And I'm wondering, how are you differentiating yourself, and what are you doing to expand your marketing to draw in more, more customers?
Yeah, so I'd say for us, initially our Instagram was what really helped leverage a lot of our customer base. Yeah, so I think very quickly we got around maybe like five-ish thousand. And so that kind of really just, basically when we opened, we were like, it kind of went viral pretty early. So we really just relied on our Instagram for the longest time to kind of convert our audience. And then it segued into, I would say, paid search ads. So we worked with a company that kind of helped us via Google to kind of, leverage that, to kind of putting a geofence around the neighborhood. Maybe I think it was like a 10-kilometer radius. So kind of anyone really in the area that could travel to us and were Googling burgers or something of the sort, they would be kind of alerted to come try us. More recently, I would say I was definitely one of those people who definitely wasn't like super eager to hop on the TikTok train initially. I kind of just like saw it like, I don't know, as more of like a dance app or whatever. It was my first time in hospitality. So this was just like so many things. I was like, there's way more serious kind of issues at hand right now. But now that I've kind of had more time with it and whatnot, I definitely, I'm more familiar with TikTok, and definitely it's something that I want us to begin to cultivate way more. Because now I feel like Instagram is kind of like getting a bit stale, similar to how Facebook kind of got stale when Instagram came about. We also, during that time, a lot of out-of-home advertising was pretty cheap. So Toronto's not a city that's very known for like billboards, but like if you're in LA or something like that, there's billboards everywhere. So I was kind of inspired by that. So I reached out to various companies and got billboards for pretty cheap in the downtown core. So that helped with awareness. It's hard to really put an ROI on that because you can't necessarily. But in terms of like, I think cultural impact, I think it was cool for people who were like kind of following our journey to kind of see like pop-up, because we started off as a 3-day pop-up, so to see pop-up, to see inception, to see kind of virality, and then to see like success and like billboards and et cetera, kind of just like helped with our I guess our story. So I think that was kind of a cool thing to gauge as well. But in terms of how am I growing in the US, so I'm we kind of have new partners we're beginning to have conversations with. Currently I own the brand fully, but I am kind of like having some initial conversations with people. And one idea that actually kind of stuck out to me about our initial segue into the US was getting a food truck. Getting a food truck, like maybe setting up some sort of like tour, or maybe we have a website. Well, we have a website, but a part of the site where people can maybe follow the truck's journey. So it's like maybe something culturally Afro-punk, or something's happening in New York. So we're there in New York. Then in LA, I've been following, I think, the Black Flea Market, something I really want to tap in with. We go there for that, or even more recently, Complex Con, or like First We Feast has a food festival as well. So like that's the type of, I guess, those are the type of like niche cultures that we are currently in. So really kind of just like continuing to radiate ourselves in those niche communities to really just be like their burger of choice kind of whenever we pop up. And then hopefully that kind of grows, and then we kind of find a way to like touch the masses again, kind of similar to what we did in Toronto for the first 2 years.
Okay, sounds good. Please keep in mind that restaurants are usually high risk. We are a cash flow lender, and a lot of institutions are. So you do want to take it slow, watch your margins, your expenses, and expanding too quickly and making sure that you're really understanding, where you are, because those first pivotal 2 to 5 years are crucial to your sustainability and your growth. So I think you're on the right track, but pace yourself and watch that expansion, and don't grow too fast. But I think you're doing a great job. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tasha. And I have to say, Chief, all the heads were nodding when you said food truck. Steve, I'm going to turn it over to you. Your organization, LISC, is creating a lot of innovative capital products, including the Entrepreneurs of Color Fund. What questions do you have for Chief?
Well, my head was not nodding on the food truck, so I want to make sure. So I would first, Chief, great presentation. I'm glad that you are presenting to this group today. I'm excited, but I kind of have 3 questions. One of the things I would be really interested in knowing the mix of your sales. So you're anchored in a hotel. How many are, residents? How much is bar? How much is just people coming for the food? Because that's a different restaurant model, specifically in America. So usually you get, a transient traveler to spend, corporate dollars because they're on a business trip or something, and they're not a return customer necessarily. But the local residents, what is the mix first of what you're seeing with your current location?
Yeah, so I would say initially a lot of it was delivery based. So like maybe a good like 70% of our sales was coming from like Uber Eats specifically. So which was kind of scary. Like it was great because the numbers were high, but it was scary in the sense that like if something happened, then we're super reliant on them. They were great partners. We did a few really great I guess national campaigns together, but it was still a bit weary to be super reliant on them. And then the rest would be walk-ins again, and then I guess like hotel guests. So something that I'm aware of right now that we're even trying to fix, which is also why we're trying to we're in the midst of getting our own location, is the idea that like the hotel was on a bit of it was closer to Main Street, but off of Main Street. And the hotel itself is like still kind of finding its feet as well in terms of like programming for like the main floors. Like the rooms are always booked, but in terms of like other things, they're kind of finding its feet. So it was just the idea of like having a location that was really fostering the neighborhood and really kind of like a neighborhood staple, and something that would kind of just take away our reliance on delivery and really just kind of like begin to build the structure with returning customers. And we had a lot of email capture from our pre-order app that we use and our walk-in app. So kind of like leveraging those emails to kind of build this, sales funnel. Because I think the first time someone comes in, I think after someone comes in twice, they're more likely to come like 3, 4, 5 times. But I forgot where I read that. But just trying to lean people off of delivery and kind of segue them more into walk-ins.
Great. And I think oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying good. Good. Yeah.
Okay. I think we have time for one more question. So let's hear from the other judges, Richard or Lorena.
Yeah, I'm happy to ask. I wanted, so first of all, Chief, awesome presentation. You said you did $1.2 million in sales. That was last year.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So you basically during COVID opened up a burger shop somewhere and were able to sell $1.2 million. Your burgers must be pretty awesome. So, wanted to commend you on that. Maybe pushing on Steve's question a little bit. I'm curious to understand your customer breakup from sort of like a, ethnicity or, diversity standpoint. Are you seeing that it's a lot of folks with like a, African diaspora type, background, or is it sort of like more general than that? I'm looking really for the appeal, I think, beyond what is obviously sort of, kind of core to your heritage. I'm Kenyan myself, and I know finding good Kenyan food is really tough. It's embarrassing. There's probably a handful of good African restaurants in Boston, and my wife and I order from them all the time. So I know there's loyalty there. So I'm trying to understand, how much of your customer base is that type of group versus, you're introducing a broader group of people to kind of Ghanaian fusion type cuisine.
That's a great question. I would say the greater part of our audience is more being introduced to the cuisine. I would say it like leans more to, people who are interested in burgers overall and kind of had heard our story and kind of want to try a different twist on it. I would say in the first year, it was, especially when it was really pushed as like kind of like this really unique thing within the Ghanaian community and within the African community, I would say maybe 30-ish% of people I would say were coming in to just represent Ghana and really just proud of kind of the attention we were bringing to our culture and country and stuff like that, and wanting to try the burgers, wanting to try the jollof rice and the combo of those things. And I would say the wider audience is kind of just, people who just wanted to try it and be educated and kind of had just seen it on a food blog and kind of stuff like that. Because in terms of people who are very familiar with like Ghanaian food, they can kind of just they either just make it at home or they can go to these places kind of more outside of the city and probably get the items we're selling for a better deal. Whereas for us, it's like kind of just a side and kind of just a part of what we're doing. So I found that a lot of the audience was more, a lot of our customer base was more there for the educational aspects of it and kind of just, or people who had gone to Ghana, done work there, had traveled there, had some sort of connection to Ghana in some capacity, but were not Ghanaian themselves, and had seen, because our burgers are named after cities in Ghana. So our single patties to Kumasi, our single patties to Accra. So I think people had seen the names or kind of like, oh, what's going on over here? And like people would come in and I'd be at the cash and they'd kind of say like, oh, I went to Ghana for this trip, or like my wife's from here, or my kids are from here, and I want them to try this. Or so kind of just like, I'd say it was more discovery based, most of the customers.
Yeah.
Well,
that's why that lets me know that it could work on a wider scale, because it's people that kind of just want to be educated on, they want a good burger, but want a little bit of a twist to it.
Yeah. And I think that's, makes a ton of sense. And the mix shift, I think, from, a larger portion of people for whom it's, a call back to home versus, a general audience, I think is promising and interesting. As you think about sort of rollout strategy, both in kind of, Canada and also in the US, right? You should probably not be afraid to leverage some of that, sort of loyalty from the, kind of like Afro background type, customer, and sort of use that to build awareness in, broader communities. So, I'm thinking literally as you think about taking your presentation to the next step, when you talk about growth, there's probably like a hit list of like, 10 or 20 MSAs in the USA that you probably want to take this to, like, relatively quickly. The, density is there. The, type of customer that kind of helped you build the business in the first place is there. You could make it for an investor like a really clear journey of how you get from 1.2 million of sales to like 20 million of sales in like a relatively short period of time. And so kind of think about that a little bit, as you push forward on this is, where do I want to go to next? How? I like the food truck idea because it's cheap and, if you can deliver sort of a massive ROI on that, it's great proof points really early on. So, think hard about that, right? As you go to investors, it's like, how do I paint the path from I'm a $1 million Canadian focused business today to a $20 million, Canada and the US business, hitting major MSAs with all this extra growth potential left beyond those markets, right? If we start to see the proof points and success necessary to deliver that.
So, thank you.
Great advice. All right. On that note, let's get more advice from the judges, Lorena and then Tasha.
All right. Well, I wanted to leave you just with one thought, which really, I think, goes off of a comment that Tasha made, which was that restaurants are considered high risk to a lot of investors and lenders, right? And the reason why is because when you're thinking about growth in particular, right? So you already mentioned you have a business that has 1.2 million in sales annually. You're trying to get it up to 1.5 to 2 million, right? At the kind of run rate, basically, right? Kind of in perpetuity for a single location. So being able to really clearly articulate to somebody, what are the box economics for you? So how much do you spend, and what is your actual margin off of that business when it's at 1.2, when it's at 1.5, when it's at 2? How long do you expect it to take you to get to that, that max peak number? Is important for someone to understand so they can figure out like how quickly do you get to a place of profitability and to something that's really sustainable. And then second, when you're thinking about things like opening new locations, how much upfront investment do you have to make and for how long before you get that profitable? So I was one of the folks who was nodding when you said food truck, because to me that says a lot less money. You get a chance to test out markets, right? Before you have to make a really big investment on an individual location, right? And so that's just one of the things I'd really put in your mind, because it is absolutely great. I think what Richard said is spot on in terms of like being able to show an investor the path and like how you can quickly scale and like how you've been thinking really thoughtfully about which locations. But it is just as important as Tasha was mentioning about thinking about how you can paint that picture where you can, so that you can do it in a way that's not going to look like it's too much risk and too much cash outlay before you actually get to see some actual revenue and profit being generated. But thank you so much. It does look like a wonderful business, and I personally would be very excited to get to try it.
Thank you.
Tasha, any other advice? You're on mute. Tasha, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that.
There we go.
The smash burgers that we have in Chicago, are they similar to yours? Because we have some smash burger locations here, and I wasn't sure if they were associated in any way.
Yeah, they're probably similar. What kind of separate the smash burger from other places?
Okay.
Really just higher quality beef. And then usually most places use like a 2-ounce patty. So it's pretty thin. A lot of places use like potato buns, which are kind of sweet. We use a 3-ounce patty. But yeah, I think the differentiation between patties and higher quality beef and higher quality ingredients is kind of what makes it a smash.
Oh, well, that's something I'd like to expand on, because the quality is very important. The consistency is very important. The service you provide will be very important, whether you're in this boutique hotel, if you go to the food truck, which I think may be a good way to start out, and not having brick and mortar, not paying a high lease right off the bat, and also convenience. Like, how can folks get your burgers, every way that they can, whether they can be delivered, picked up, whatever the case may be, but make it convenient. But I really think the quality and the consistency and the service you provide is going to help with it's really going to set out turn out your branding as to what people really think about you and how you're actually rated out there for other folks and are thinking about trying you. And also think about how can you expand in the community. Who can you leverage or collaborate with and work with to have people taste your burgers to understand how you're different, what your passions are, and why you so believe in your burgers are so much better and healthier than others. And I think it's really good if you can get out in the community and show that and provide those tastings and really, kind of collaborate with other community groups or organizations and just really get your burger out there for people to taste and love and go from there, but pace yourself.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all judges, for your feedback and for that great advice. Thank you, Chief, for being part of the Gentler, Kinder Shark Tank. Excellent job. Now, folks, we have one final presentation, so stay tuned.